The A7 III is finally announced, huh? I think I was wrong.
Thinking about you, dreaming about you, I don't wanna be without you, yeah. Feel the talking, heaven walking, been about you, still about you.
What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. This is LD Photo, part of the Lifestyles Defined group, where we discuss one of our favorite passions, photography. And today's topic is actually an AMA. And for those of you who are new here, you're not sure how this works, you leave your question in the comment section down below, and we answer it in upcoming videos. So today's question from Pakiza. The A7 III is out. What do you think? You wanted this video camera 2 months ago. So yeah, I did a video about the A7 III and talking about the specs. And part of my, or the leaked specs at the time, part of my reserves was the lack of things like 4K 60 and some other innovations. And I even cited my frustrations because at the time the iPhone X had came out, and the iPhone X did 4K 60, and a lot of you guys lit me up in the comment section. You can't compare the fingernail size sensor to a full frame sensor, and like guys, I don't want to get into this debate. I can compare, and I will. And the reason why is because I'm a consumer and I'm spending my money. Now, the thing is, if you look at these phones, right, you're paying, let's take the iPhone X, $1,000. I really don't think that the camera, the little camera in that thing is consuming the most or the majority of the cost of that thing. I think it's the display. I think it's the memory storage, and it's the processor, not the camera. And to put that in perspective, that thing costs $1,000. So for me to go out and spend $2,000 for this piece of tech that does not need a big display and the memory unit, you know, it's dedicated to the sensor. Everything's built around the sensor, and you can't figure out how to give me 4K 60. I'm gonna bitch and moan, and that's just the way it is. Now, I had to do some reflecting because, as you guys may or may not know, I currently own the A7 Mark II, and that is my workhorse. That is the pride and joy of my camera collection, and I do all of my professional work with it. And in fact, I take it for some street lights, some street night photography from time to time, if it's not too heavy to carry, because it does weigh a bit. So yeah, I'm well familiar with the system. I really do love that camera. So naturally, hearing about the A7 III, you thought, well, is it time to upgrade? Well, I looked back on the A7 II, and for a while I was confused on where this camera sort of sat. I always thought the A7 II was sort of the all-around camera. It sat between the low megapixel but big, you know, really killer night capabilities of the S, and the super high megapixel count monster, whatever we offer in the R. But Sony sort of blew my mind when they said, no, this is the basic offering. This is the entry level. I said, whoa, interesting. So I went back and looked at some of the release material for the for the A7 II, and it turns out, I just didn't get the memo. I didn't understand where my the A7 II fit, which is why I was super confused when Sony released the A7R III. I was like, wait, what are they doing? The R2 just came out. I thought it's always A7, A7S, A7R, but they broke the cycle. But now I can understand. I'm paying attention to the marketing and the branding, and I can kind of get it. Now, when you put it in perspective, you look at, I took some notes here about what makes this camera really shine. It's got this killer autofocus system that we see in the A9. And, you know, it's always been a thing that the autofocus systems that we have, the phase detection systems in mirrorless cameras, is just not as good as what we see in Canon and Nikon. But Sony changed the game with the A9. every bit as good, if not better, in some situations. And that autofocus system is now over here in the A7III. All 693 phase detection points. Like that's a lot, and that's super dope. So okay, check mark. You got the 4K footage with no crop, which a lot of cameras don't do. Okay, so it may not be the 4K 60 that I wanted, but it's still the 4K. You know, you can do 4K 30, and these days I do a lot of videos at 4K 24. The reason I wanted 4K 60 so bad was because I could use the 60 to slow it down for slow-mo. But I've since rethought that as well. And being that this camera also shoots 120 frames a second at 1080p, I can mix that video in a 4K, that 1080p footage in a 4K video, and you probably wouldn't notice a difference. So okay, I'm a little more lenient there. It's got the bigger battery, which is a big deal, so that's a plus. It's got the 2 SD cards, which I've been complaining about a lot, and I love it there. It's got USB Type-C. This thing shoots 10 frames a second in both mechanical and silent mode. And it's $2,000. Okay. Okay. I remember when the A7III, the A7R3 came out, and I saw the price. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. That's not for me. At $2,000, the A7III is looking mighty good. And you know what? I'm gonna have to renege on a lot of my prior thoughts in that video. I'm really digging this A7III. You know, now that I have an A7 II, is it worth the upgrade for me? Because ultimately that's the question. I don't know if it's worth the upgrade. The dual slots, I can't see them being worth the upgrade because I'm teetering that line. I do a lot of engagement shoots in them. You know, I've been approached once or twice about wedding photography. So as a professional, I didn't want to get into wedding photography unless I know I can have the correct equipment. And to me, you shouldn't be shooting wedding photography with a camera that does not have two SD card slots. So that's a big deal. The bigger battery, that's also nice, especially for video, but it never bothered me because I got 3 or 4 batteries anyway. The 10 frames a second silent shooting, that's a good one. That's a good one. I've shot in a few venues and even a few churches, and you know, you kind of need that silent shooter. You really kind of need that silent shooter. So, and the autofocus, particularly the eye autofocus, I got a lot of older Minolta lenses, and I want to be able to use the eye autofocus with those guys. You know, I think when you're shooting at these razor thin depth of fields, 1.8, 1.4, 1.7, you know, you kind of want the eye to be in focus. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence here. I'm going to see if when it's released, if there's some deals to be had, because I can still pick this guy up for $1,000, and I think I can still offload my A7 II for close to $1,000. So I'd be looking at like an $800 to $1,000 price to upgrade, which could very well be worth it, but I don't like to sell cameras. So knowing me, I'll keep both. Right? Yeah, that's my thoughts on the A7 III. I think it's a dope camera. I think it does have a lot to offer, and I had to sit back and really think about it. And I think it's putting a lot of pressure on Canon and Nikon. It's turning up the heat, and let's see how they respond. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, this is an AMA, so leave your questions in the comment section down below, and we'll answer them upcoming videos. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. We have plenty more content coming. My name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.
Well, I guess. And the reason we started Lifestyles Defined is because if we weren't on camera arguing about these things, the technologies, the phones, the iPhones, the Androids, the cameras, the games, we'd be on the phone arguing about it. We'd be in each other's houses arguing about it. So why not just put it in front of a camera for everyone to enjoy it the way we do? That's what Lifestyles Defined is all about. We just